June 1929, an anonymous letter was published in a small Hungarian newspaper titled Szolnoki Újság. The letter went on to tell about a repetitive murder occurring in a nearby village named Nagyrev, how authorities are doing nothing and the killers are on the loose, continuing their daily lives. The letter ended with, "This is my last attempt. If this also fails, then there is no justice." Hello, I am the Grin, and joining me tonight is the lovely
Amari.
Welcome to our podcast, a place where we do not shy away from the gruesome details, where some things may be triggering and hard to hear. Listener discretion is advised. So get yourself in the right space of mind and let's talk about dog shit. All right, Amari. So for this case, I'm taking us way back. Like way back. I think this is actually going to be one of our first cases where we're going almost back to the 1900s, like the beginning. Because this case takes place in the 1910s.
Jeez, 1910s?
1910s. Oh, and in Hungary. That's why some names here are going to be hard to pronounce.
Got it.
Okay.
Oh my god. What is the name of the place?
Nagyrev.
Nagyrev?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought it was like a Spanish name, but never.
Definitely not Spanish. Otherwise, I wouldn't be struggling. Okay. So, Nagyrev, a rural farming town southeast of Budapest, with, at the time, a population of 800 people, was a very small little rural town. Since it was small and remote, life there was quiet. However, something that the village was in need of was a doctor. Then one day, a middle-aged woman named Susanna Fazekas arrives. She arrived at Nagyrev in 1911 with no husband. When the villagers asked where her husband was, she said that he disappeared under suspicious circumstances.
That's weird. Okay. I'm already cutting in. Why does she can't travel alone? Or does everybody back then, like, you have to travel with your spouse?
You have to travel with your
There's no
spouse.
such thing as like a single person?
No, well, there were single people, but single people were only like young women, young girls, basically, not even women, because once you reached, I want to say like 15, even younger, they were married off.
Jeez.
Yeah, girls were married off whenever their families and the man that they were going to marry reached an agreement. So there wasn't many women who were unwed. If they were either like slaves or prisoners, things like that. I mean, widows did exist, but widows normally stayed at the village where they basically had their families. So it was just strange. It raised some eyebrows, is what I'm going to say here.
Okay.
Definitely raised some eyebrows. But she came with previous experience of being a midwife, which she soon established her little midwife practice at the village. And not many people questioned her after that because this kind of solved one of their issues. Because not only was she going to be a midwife, she also was going to be basically like their doctor. Since, again, rural town, furthest city away is miles. So this solved one of their issues. They weren't going to question it any longer. So not only did she have her own little cottage now, this also earned her respect and power. Now, Susanna didn't just help women give birth and care for the sick. She also had a little side hustle. She knew how to perform abortions, which we will get into here in just a bit, because it would soon come in handy for these women.
Can you imagine 1910, 1911, like abortions now compared to back then? Like, what's
So
that?
I did search up how abortions were performed back then, and it sounds absolutely horrific. So there was one description said that they would insert a wooden, kind of like a spoon or spatula
Oh my
and
God.
thus remove the fetus. It did explain it was very painful. There was also, I guess they used feathers, long feathers. I forget which bird it was that they described. And you would go in and you would poke
Oh my
the inside.
God. Really?
And if nothing else, then women will have the kids. And then, because life back then was kind of harsh, so whenever there was too many mouths to feed, and I'm doing this in quotations, they would just leave the infants outside to die. So, yes, those were the types of abortions that people would have back then. And that's just to name a few. Sometimes they would also take like medications and pills and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, life for women during this time was a rough and violent one. Like I was saying, many young girls were married off to older men without a say. This led to some of the girls being married off to some very abusive and alcoholic men. And divorce was something that was, I'm not going to say not legal, but it was very frowned upon. You basically, it's something you don't do. And in many cases, you don't even do it, even in the case of domestic violence. So, as one could imagine, this led to a lot of loveless and fraught marriages with men whom the girls were often afraid of. However, World War I happened and saw the drafting of 9 million men from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This was the first time the women were left without any of their abusers around. There was a sense of freedom for the first time. However, like I was explaining, Nagyrev was a village that was very rural, so they thought it was an ideal location to hold Allied prisoners of war. So many of the men who arrived there were sent to work on the farms that were left behind. Care for the crops, do all the hard labor. But then, since it was a village full of women now, because all the men were drafted, young and old, they soon started to have flings with the women.
So how does that work? So they are prisoners of war, right?
Correct.
But so they're not keeping a close eye on them?
Apparently not.
Is that how they're able to have like flings?
Apparently not, because they be having flings with these women, and I was going to get to it here in a bit, but some of the women got knocked up basically by this. And I would have thought that there was somebody standing on guard.
Right?
At
They're
least a few
prisoners.
soldiers. Yeah, exactly. They're just prisoners of war. Like, how are you not scared these guys are just going to do something to the women, to the families? Not just,
So that place is like that rural that they're not afraid, like, oh, they're gonna run away and try to get away.
I guess not. Well, I did look it up in the map. Yes, it's like in the center of the country. So it's like all forest around it.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, even if you did try to escape, I'm assuming you're going to run into troops. And I don't think at the time that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Probably got shot. And like I was mentioning, it led to these women getting basically knocked up. This led to a lot of unwanted pregnancies. So which Susanna came in handy because she would offer her services. And many people were aware that Susanna was doing this. And she was actually arrested multiple times for performing illegal abortions, but she was always released by a sympathetic judge. So they really didn't take her seriously or take punishment seriously for doing all that.
Mm-hmm.
Then the war came to an end, and the men who returned to Nagyrev were deeply changed, suffering from PTSD, which was not yet an official recognized condition at the time. And some suffered from severe wounds that never healed properly. Burdens is what many of the women describe them as.
So first they were called abusers,
Yes,
and now they're called burdens.
now they're called burdens.
I don't think they were. I don't think you even mentioned that they were ever called actual husbands.
Yes, I did not.
Oh my gosh.
I did not. They soon lost their independence as you can imagine, and were not happy about this at all because their husbands came back, their lovers are gone, and there's no more freedom. So what they decided to do is they went to Susanna for advice because she always seemed to have an answer to their problems. And this time was no different. Susanna definitely had a remedy in mind. The remedy? Arsenic, made by boiling flypaper and skimming off the residue. Susanna persuaded the women to poison their husbands using this method, promising them that arsenic is an untraceable poison in the body, which we know is not true.
Well, now, but I mean, back then they didn't have all the the sciences that we have now.
Yeah.
But I don't recall you saying what did she do when she was younger before she got to the island? What was her job?
Susanna's?
Yes.
Exactly that. So with Susanna, what I tried to research about her, nobody knows
Because
actually
how would you?
anything about her past.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have thought of like, oh, I don't have that kind of mind, but boiling fly paper and using that the residue
Hmm.
to kill and knowing that that has arsenic,
Yeah.
like
I tried to do some research and nobody has an official recording of what happened in her past. The only thing that is recorded is that bad things basically started happening once this woman arrived to this village. And that's why I said that when she showed up with no husband and she explained that he was missing under suspicious
mm,
circumstances.
how do you know about arsenic? Did you know about it back then?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Oh, and I will add this too. Arsenic was actually a traceable poison in the body even back then.
Oh, even back then.
People knew how to trace it. But because this was so rural,
Hmm.
these women basically didn't have that kind of knowledge. Susanna just basically persuaded them and made them feel comfortable by saying that.
She's smart.
She is
She's
very
an
smart.
evil smart. She's like, these
Yeah,
people are dumb. They're going to believe anything I say anyways. So,
exactly. So, in order to, start doing this, she had to enlist some help. And she enlisted a young woman named Susie Ola to act as a clerk, falsifying death certificates. That way, whenever a husband would die, he would die under suspicious circumstances, either of natural causes, of age, or just some kind of sickness that was out there. Now, Susie Ola went on to poison her older husband. She was 18 years old at the time.
oh, she was 18 years
She
old?
was 18 years old. The women of the village would use this method to solve their problems with their abusive husbands, and they soon started to call themselves the Angel Makers. But there were rules for using this method and being an angel maker. So the rules were as follows. Only unhappily married women were allowed to know about the method. No single woman or women in happy marriages were allowed to use this method. Men cannot know about this because they cannot kill their wives. Only wives can kill their husbands.
Mm.
And poisoning women and children was not okay.
Well, so my question,
Mhm.
why can't single women know about it? Because
Because
if they kill somebody, it's considered murder.
exactly.
But if they do it and
It's
because they're just
justice.
unhappy,
It's justice.
justice.
It's
Okay,
justice. It's not frowned upon.
that
It's not murder.
it's complete sense.
Yeah.
I understand everything now.
But these rules were quickly forgotten as time passed. So let's get into a few of these women. First, we're going to talk about Juliana Lipka, who moved into the house of a sick elderly couple. They were also wealthy, so she could nurse them. The husband did die of old age, but the wife ended up being too much of a burden for Juliana, who didn't like cleaning up after her and thought it was way too much work and not what she signed up for. When she complained about her troubles to a group of women, they told her a little secret. Go and buy flypaper, boil it, then scrape the poisonous film to mix it into the woman's food and drink. It would be fatal, but undetectable, is what they told her. Juliana took the advice and killed the elderly woman. Later, she poisoned her stepsister, and after that, she poisoned her husband, whom she thought was irritating. She saw such an improvement in her life that she couldn't stop. She went on to poison 7 people before teaching her neighbor how to do it.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So all she did
Yes.
was go to a group of women
Yes.
who knew about the arsenic.
Yes.
But all she did was originally she went to them just to complain
Yes.
and vent.
Yes.
And sometimes, that's all you have to do is just complain and vent and other people listen and, you'll feel better.
Exactly.
But these women are super evil because they decide like, hey, you should just kill her.
Yeah.
Not like, oh no, that sucks. That, maybe go look for another job or blah, 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 something like that. No. Why don't you just kill her?
Yeah. I have a solution for you. Off with her head.
They're evil. They created, well, it's not just them because she didn't have to, but they had helped create a serial killer.
Exactly. And then you know what she did? She went on to teach the neighbor, and then that neighbor went on to kill a bunch of people.
Sharing is caring.
Knowledge is power. Next, Rosalia Tux, another older woman, and a masseuse. She poisoned her alcoholic husband and went on to train another young mother to kill her father-in-law because the father-in-law was a very controlling man.
So what was her name? Susanna?
Yes.
Did she know about these other women? Sharing her
She
secrets?
only knows about her angel makers, and she set rules for her angel makers. But these women can't keep a secret and are out passing the knowledge, passing ideas out to other women, and apparently that's the only rule that they're following is passing the knowledge only to women so that they can better their lives. And I'm saying that in quotation marks.
Yes, quotation.
In another instance, a desperate woman did go to Susanna after not knowing what to do with her abusive husband. The man, a former prisoner of war who went blind in battle. So Susanna went over to give him medicine, in quotations again, and there was an unspoken understanding between the women that the medicine was poison. And Susanna fed it to the man while his wife stood by her and watched.
And she knew that poor guy.
Yeah.
He was blind because of war.
Yeah.
Did it say that he's one of them, he was abusive too, or it's just because he was a burden because he was blind?
He was a burden because he was blind.
He could have been like a nice guy.
As you can tell, they're starting to become more heartless. It's not just the abusive husbands anymore.
So it's not angel makers anymore. It's like
They were never angel makers to me.
no, no, yeah, that's true. It's like that Elvis song, "Devil in Disguise."
Yeah, that's what they are. And now we're going to get into Maria Cardos, a very, I'm going to use colorful individual. This woman was a wealthy woman who divorced twice, which, like I said, is unheard of. It's very frowned upon.
But she probably is
But
okay because she had money.
she had money, so she didn't care. She took on the former mayor as her lover, but Maria felt like she could not live her life with a 23-year-old son around. She did not want to care for him and wanted to use all her energy into her new affair. So she went to Susanna and purchased arsenic to put in her son's food. He quickly grew sick, and during his final days, she moved his bed outside so he could get some sunshine. During her interrogation, she did say that she felt a sadness because her son had such a beautiful voice and he would sing to her. But she quickly brushed it off because she was so excited to start a new life with her new lover. But her new lover was a womanizer who drank a lot and slept around even after him and Maria got married. Susanna was never a fan of the former mayor and helped Maria poison him. Slowly, however, because in the course of 1 month, the man slowly grew ill until he finally passed on April 1922.
I've been trying to hold back this whole time with my mouth wide open and freaking shock. What bitch?
She is.
Her son is 23 years old. Okay, maybe kick him out of the house. Go live somewhere else. You know, you're old enough. Go get a job. Something. You poison him and then you drag his bed outside?
Yeah.
23 years old is an adult. Like, that's a big boy that she had to drag to the front lawn.
Yeah.
And he had a beautiful voice. Oh my God.
That's the only thing she felt sorry about is that he had a beautiful voice.
What a bitch.
That's putting it nicely. Like I said, it's getting more heartless and heartless. Now, these were just a few stories. Many women did start off poisoning their husbands, but then moved on to poisoning unwanted children, relatives, and other women.
This is horrible.
This is absolutely
It
horrible.
was pretty bad in the beginning, but now, like, oh, the kids and oh my gosh.
Yeah. I did read that in one woman's case. I didn't put her down because there, like again, there's like a whole list of them. But in one instance, this woman killed her kids because she just didn't have enough money, and she thought there's too many mouths to feed, so she just poisoned all her kids.
Well, that one, it's sad, but there's cases like that now still that they'll do that because they cannot feed them
Yeah,
or take care of them.
yeah. So motives always varied. And there was actually one instance where a woman murdered her mother because she wanted an early inheritance. So, what ended up happening is that nearby villages had an idea of what was going on and were afraid of going anywhere near Nagyrev. And even men did not want to marry women from this village because they thought it was cursed, since very young, healthy men kept dying and dying.
Even the men are like, don't go over there.
Don't do
Nope,
it.
don't do it.
You know what? There's plenty of women over there. That other village. Stay clear.
Those are what they call sirens on that village.
And in 1929, Nagyrev was actually labeled a murder district. The murders went on to occur for over a decade, and some frightened villagers did go to police with suspicion of poisonings, but when police reviewed the deaths, there was no evidence because all the death certificates were in order and people just died of old age, natural causes, or some other sickness. So they just didn't look deep into it.
But that's funny though, because I'm pretty sure the police know of the rumors of that island, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's surrounding all the women.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who's writing these certificates is a woman.
Exactly.
And you guys don't trust any of the women on that island.
I don't want to say it, and I didn't find anywhere that said it, but in my opinion, this is the Grin speaking. They didn't care. They didn't look into it.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
district or not their. It's not their
work, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Because honestly, exactly like you were saying, village full of women, a woman doing this, that would raise some eyebrows. If that was me,
Yeah.
my eyebrows would be raised all the way up to my hairline, and probably look into it. But nobody did. But when the deaths went public in 1929, thanks to a newspaper, Solnoki Uchsag, sorry for my pronunciation, and the anonymous letter that arrived, police had no choice but to take an even deeper, closer look into what was going on. Here is where things are going to get a little murky because there are different testimonies on how the angel makers were caught. So, One testimony is that two detectives were sent to the village and came across four men. When they tried to question the men, they only gave a few words and just left. So what they did is they went to go see the priest. And the priest, when they arrived, was scared out of his mind and basically said, Susanna, she is a formidable opponent. If she knows you're here, you're going to die.
Oh my God.
And that's all he said. When they left, they saw on the ground the man who they just spoke with lying dead.
The priest?
No, the police, the detectives.
Oh my God, I got
Yeah.
chills. That's scary.
And thinking quickly, they immediately arrested his niece, who, when they arrested her, immediately broke down and confessed to everything, confessed to murdering her father, and turned other women in the process.
Snitch.
Another account is that two women accused each other in public and then started naming everyone. And the person who they kept saying over and over who provided the poison was Susanna.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, this is what? What did you say? This is 13 years later? No. How long is
When,
this later? This
when they're
rain.
trying to get caught
Yeah.
or when they're about to get caught, 14 years.
14 years later.
Mhm.
That's a long streak that name calling or not name calling. What is it? Telling on each other happens.
Snitching.
Yes, snitching. There you go. Still, yeah.
Tattletale.
But that's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It's over a decade of just killing.
And they barely told, like, no, it was Susanna. It wasn't our fault. It
Susanna.
was
It
her.
wasn't- it
She
wasn't-
made us, or she taught us.
She taught us how to do it. She gave us a step-by-step, a tutorial. And then in another testimony is that a body floated down the river to another town where a medical student found it and discovered the poison in the body. Because like I said, even though it's like that long ago, arsenic is still a poison that's actually detectable. Susanna was just basically creating monsters.
Yeah, I wonder how she was feeling, I guess, during this whole time. Like, she knew what she created.
Yeah.
Unless that's the reason she came to the island because she did the same thing wherever she was from before.
Which is why I really want to know what was her past. I'm not gonna lie, and I could not find it. And wherever you go, I had to listen to other podcasters talk about this. I looked up other articles. You just can't find anything about her past. Like, who even knows if Susanna Falsacus is her real name?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Is my theory. Is my theory.
She was a runaway. Not a runaway, but she's in hiding.
Could be.
I didn't even think of that.
That's what I thought.
I believe it. I take that one now.
Finally, another is that when police arrived in the town, they caught the women undigging graves and doing a mass burning of the bodies because Susanna was like, actually, arsenic is traceable, so we should probably burn all the evidence.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is just how many of the women were actually digging up bodies? This is a really brutal island. The women.
It was a horrible, well, it's not an island, it's a village, but it's a horrible, it's just horrible monsters, horrible people.
Oh, and imagine the kids that actually lived
Yeah.
growing up thinking like this is normal. If you don't like somebody, just kill them, just poison
kill
them. Like they can grow up thinking like this is just normal.
Yeah.
Like people die around me all the time. That's just what happens when I was growing up.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that people who participated, if that version is true, I'm assuming anybody who killed somebody would go and do it because, I mean, your hands are stained with blood. You don't want to get caught. You go over there and help.
Yeah.
Is how I'm assuming Susanna persuaded them.
Or they don't care. A lot of them don't care because they already killed their spouse, family members. They don't care already.
Kids.
Yeah, they don't care already.
Yeah, they don't, honestly. But whatever the version is, it seemed that Susanna was somehow involved in any version that you basically conclude on how
Oh,
they were caught. And she also became the prime suspect for the police because, like I was mentioning, she would always get arrested on charges of illegal abortions. So they thought, you know what? You're the doctor. Why aren't you doing anything to reduce the death? Because the death toll in that one village was higher than the rest of the country.
well, what can she do? What can a doctor do if the certificates say old age,
Yeah,
natural causes? There's nothing you can do to stop that.
exactly. But they're starting to look deeper now.
Okay, they're
There's
just questioning.
actually, I don't know if they're doing their job, but doing their job. So, like I said, they immediately thought her as the prime suspect and soon went to arrest her. When Susanna saw them approaching her cottage, she did what the women did to the victims and sipped some arsenic and committed suicide.
You know what? I imagine her when you're talking, like saying that in the cottage and she sees them walking. I just imagine her sitting very classy, ladylike with her pinky out, drinking a little tea
Mm-hmm.
because she knows what's going to happen. So she's accepted it. So it's just
Yeah.
like all calmly doing it.
Oh, I just,
Like she accepted it, didn't she?
she accepted it.
That's
She
crazy.
knew what she was doing. She knew what she made these women do. She had no remorse and she didn't want to face the punishment.
She's just evil. Like,
Oh,
I really want to know her past. I really do.
I know,
Want to
right?
know more.
Right? That's what I was
Like,
saying.
ugh.
So, 34 women were indicted and 50 graves were opened and 40 bodies were exhumed, showing traces of arsenic. But the number is thought to be more number of victims. People estimate that the number of victims range anywhere from 40 up to 300 people.
Jeez. So when they exhumed, is it exhumed the bodies?
Mhm.
Examined. When they examined the bodies,
Examine the, yeah.
they were all by poison. None was physical damage. It was all poison.
It's at 40. 40 that they found showed signs of poison.
Just poison.
Because they did take out 50.
Mm-hmm.
40 showed signs of poison, and 10 were, I guess, natural causes.
Jeez.
Nothing bad. Um, yes. So I guess in the trial, they also did state, or in their interrogation, they did state that poisoning was their only method of killing their victims because they thought it was not a heartless way to kill.
Who said that?
The women.
No, women said that.
Yeah.
It's not heartless. It's
Yeah.
heartless.
It's not heartless.
It's not heartless.
Yeah, it's not. It's not bad. Bad is when you go and stab somebody, shoot somebody, things like that.
Yes, but this is also bad because you were also watching somebody who used to be your loved one die a very slow, painful death internally. That is also that's
This is going back to Miss Susanna, who I don't know what she did to get into their. She was just. I don't know. It's horrible how she was able to brainwash these women into thinking that and thinking it was
it's
okay.
heartless. It's oh my god! You're killing somebody. Okay,
Yeah.
you're killing. It's all the same thing. Murder.
Yeah, exactly. The defense tried to blame Susanna as much as possible because she was not there, so the perfect scapegoat. But, and saying that she was the evil mastermind. But then they immediately switched to, oh, these women were living harsh conditions. They had very abusive people controlling their lives who wouldn't want to be liberated and free. You can imagine the judge did not accept that.
Good, because I'm sitting here too, like, huh? No, no. Don't make excuses for women who killed. No, you're fired.
Right?
No.
When the verdict was reached, 8 women received the death sentence, including Maria Cardos, who killed her 23-year-old son, because she showed no remorse for killing her son or her husband. And Rosalia Takacs, the masseuse, who helped with many murders. Like I mentioned, she helped that young mother. After that, she went on to show the knowledge to other women.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for a brief second earlier, when you said the masseuse
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were going to say that she also made, because this is to sit, right?
Yeah.
For the men to drink.
Drink or eat.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought you were going to say that she made some kind of like body lotion oil for the, massage.
No.
I thought you were going to say that for a second when you said masseuse.
No. That's just what she did, but you would think so, but that would be crazy. And then another 12 women received prison sentences. The rest were released due to lack of evidence. The Supreme Court then looked into the sentencing and thought that the sentencing was too harsh and reduced some of the sentencings because a few of these women did receive life. And 3 of the 8 women were taken off death row, including Rosalia, but only 2 women were executed. One of them, Maria Cardos, who was hanged on January 13th, 1931.
They hunger.
They hung her.
Oh, shit.
In the end, only 2 women were basically executed.
What do you mean it's too hard? I never understand how they decide their sentences. Like, they killed people.
Exactly.
So I was like, oh, it's too harsh to have them killed too. Like, this is my thinking, okay? But
this is a Mari.
This is a Mari thinking.
it.
This is my thoughts. But you killed somebody. Why is it harsh that the first judge says that you should, do life?
Yeah,
That's murder, basically. You're dying in prison.
basically.
So you should do life for murdering somebody.
Mhm.
But then somebody else comes in saying, "Oh no, it's too harsh. Don't let them do life.
Yeah.
Don't let them get hung or whatever." Oh, it's just, I don't understand why they go back, why they went.
I don't understand it either. I absolutely agree with the life sentences. You know what? Like Rosalia, I don't understand it. She went on, even though she didn't kill those people, in the end, their blood is also in her hands because she went on to teach the women how to do it.
Yeah. What about that? Wait, was Rosalia the one who ended up killing, who was the caregiver?
No, the caregiver, she received life sentence, excuse me.
She did? Okay.
That was Julia.
Yeah, because
Or Juliana.
so far, she was the only one that I heard you say that she murdered the most, right? 7 people?
Murdered 7 people. After she killed the elderly woman, she was like, you know what? I don't like my stepsister either. And then she thought her husband was irritating. And after that, she was like, you know what? Now I can't stop. And ended up killing 7 people. And then taught her neighbor how to do it.
So she got life, but she didn't get, what's it called? Prosecuted? Is it called prosecuted?
No, all the women,
Not prosecuted. Okay, there you go.
No, she
didn't get death. She was just life.
Yeah.
But yet the other one, what was her name?
Rosalia.
Not Rosalia, the other
Maria.
Maria. But she got death.
She got death.
For
she
killing her
because
son and
she
husband.
She was horrible in the eyes of the public.
Only because she had no remorse in her face?
Because when this was released in the newspaper, this was like a small press. They released this, everybody found out, everybody basically showed up to the court chanting, hang them, hang her. When Maria gave her testimony, and I guess they call it like cross-examination. Is that what they say?
Mm-hmm.
That's the proper term. When they cross-examined her, she showed no remorse. She basically said what she said in her interrogation. She was only sad that his singing is gone. People, as you can imagine, did not like that at all and basically just screamed, hang. And
the other girl did 7 murders, though, too. She should also get it.
But what I'm also thinking is, I didn't find this in any of the articles, so don't quote me. This is Legren speaking. Because this was so rural and this was so long ago, I don't know if like other people were so like the nearby villages were so crossed about this happening that I don't know if lynching was something that could have been a possibility. Did they go after the women? I couldn't find it. I was very interested in if the villagers, other villagers, wanted to seek justice themselves.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I, I would think they just, move everybody out and nobody can live in this island, this part of the island anymore. Like, no.
Yeah, it sounds like a horror movie, basically, like something that you wouldn't believe is real, like a whole village. But
It reminds me of that one, oh my God, what is it called? Is it called Village of the Damned? Or it's this one farm, I cannot remember it. These little kids with white eyes, I think. Or maybe I'm
Children of the
confusing. It's a Children of the Corn,
yeah,
where it's only young kids there.
yeah,
And the adults they would kill.
I think so. Oh gosh, I think so. I
Right?
think so.
So it's like that, except the little kids are all women.
Oh my god.
No men can be there. No men or anything annoying.
But again, they didn't stick to that rule very long
That's true.
because I don't know. It's just they were just harmless basically in the end. There was not true justice served, especially freaking Susanna going and poisoning herself.
Oh yeah, no.
Ah,
She got away the coward way.
like yeah, complete coward.
Because she knew. She was like, I'm gonna
She
burn for this. She
absolutely
knew.
knew.
Well, especially in my mind, the way I'm thinking that she did it with her little pinky up.
When you
I see it.
described it like that, when you described it like that, I was like, fucking bitch.
Peter more.
Yeah. Yeah. And the amount of evil, because, I was thinking the same way. You thought at the time, oh, arsenic is not traceable. It actually is. And she was just basically convincing these women, you know what, you'll be fine. Nobody's ever going to catch you.
I'm wondering if that's the one. I could be completely wrong, but there's an image. Is that the one that shows yellow in your eyes if you have arsenic poisoning?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. What I know is that the little half moons on your nails
Mm-hmm.
grow larger
They grow larger when you have
Mhm.
arsenic in your
in your
system.
system.
Really?
Yes, that's one I do know.
No, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, that's the one I found out a long time ago, and it was actually funny. Funnily enough, through a show. It was like Criminal Minds or something. It was Criminal Minds, and I was like, "Is that actually true?" I looked it up, and it actually is true.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so these are how can you tell if someone has been poisoned with arsenic? Garlic odor on their breath, severe abdominal pain, but you can't tell if they're already dead.
Those are just symptoms of
Those are symptoms.
yeah. And the people that were dying, they just thought, oh, I'm like really, really sick.
Yeah.
And then there go the women going and get medicine when in fact they're just getting more poison.
I'm trying to see, but I can't see anything. It's gonna be too late.
What I also did see, and is also a theory of why people didn't really dig into the thing so much, the actual murders,
Mm-hmm.
is that I didn't realize at the time, but when I was researching this, I found out that I guess arsenic symptoms and symptoms of cholera are almost the same.
And that was is it cholera?
Cholera.
Okay.
Cholera.
It's like wait. Sound a little
Cholera. Yes.
So they could have thought like, oh, they just got sick with that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right. Finally, I looked it up. Okay. Um, this is internally, but it says internally red velvet stomach. What does that mean?
But you would have to cut
Yeah.
open the body.
But didn't you say the one that was caught floating down?
Well, that was one theory.
That was no, that was a medical student that got it.
Yes.
And he found, right?
But again, that was one
Oh,
theory.
that was just a theory?
Yeah. Because again, it happened so long ago that how they were caught was kind of lost.
There's another one. Raindrop skin pigmentation.
I don't know what that looks like.
And Mies, line in nails. The lines in nails, too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yes, friends, that concludes our little trip to Hungary with just a horrible group of women. And Amani sitting in front of me, jaw open and everything, eyes wide, just like in complete shock.
Yeah, just shock. I don't know what to say about it.
You don't know how to react.
No. No, it just cements that people are evil.
It really does. Yeah. And, the abusers turn into even worse than their own abusers. They turn into monsters.
Yeah.
Well, friends, that is it for tonight. Remember to be well
Be safe.
and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.